This is Mr. Cummings. Uh, I will be teaching your child in geometry this year. A couple things to go over that I want to make sure you get is contact information. My email is cummingc@nhsd.net. It is your standard email address for any teacher up here. You can email me with questions. If you want to set up some type of meeting, we can try to set up some type of Zoom meeting while we're online. We can do any type of meeting that we've had in school with principals or guidance counselors. We can do online now also. So if you do need to have a meeting, please email me. We can try to set something up. As far as supplies go, your child's going to need something to write with. Calculator is not technically required for pre-algebra, algebra 1. Even for this year in geometry, they can get away with a basic calculator, but we recommend them having a TI-83 or a TI-84 plus. Come next year in algebra 2, they won't be able to get away with it anymore. So it's really advantageous for them to get it this year and be able to start to learn some things on it and get comfortable with it. They need a 3-ring notebook or something to organize their paperwork, anything that they wanted to print out while they're at home or when they come to school. We'll have worksheets, things like that, something to put it in. They will be given a textbook, and that's where the bookwork will actually come from. So they will be assigned one of those. For individual help, when they are in the building, they can come see me for help, whether that's during lunch or study hall or after school. All teachers have to be here until 2:35 on a normal school day. So they can come in, they can see me at that point too for about a half hour to be able to get some extra help. When we're online, if they want to set up or if they want some extra help or need to see me, we can try to set up some type of office hours for them to be able to attend so that I can answer more questions. I do set aside time during class for every lesson to make sure that they have the opportunity to ask me questions. So they should be able to get most of those answers in that time frame. But if they need some extra time or some extra help, we can certainly set something up. For grades, they're standard with the district. They still have the A minus, B plus, B minus, so on and so forth. But they have changed the passing requirement. It is now 60% as opposed to the 65 that it was. And then this year, you can see they actually have 4 quarters, each being 25% of your grade for a year-long course. So there is no individual column for a midterm and final this year. Instead, it'll be incorporated into a 9 weeks grade. If they're absent for any amount of time, they have that many days to make up the work. So if they're absent for 2 days, I'll give them 2 days to make up the work they missed. If they're absent for a stretch of time for whatever reason, please have them reach out to me or you reach out to me, and we'll set up some type of plan in order to make it work. Work through time frames and maybe be able to make some adjustments to some of the assignments. For their actual assessments, homework type thing, every chapter will have a test. Starting in chapter 3, we'll start to have some quizzes along the way, about halfway through this. Quizzes and tests will always be announced. We'll have a review day ahead of time where they'll be able to ask questions, work on some practice problems, get a good feel for what they know. For homework, there'll be 2 different types. Bookwork assignments come at the end of a lesson, and those are graded for completeness only. Did they do them? Did they not? And those are typically going to be 3 points. If I give them a worksheet, I'll still give them the 3 points for doing it, but typically they'll be worth 10 points, and I'll grade 7 of the problems. That way they can get a little bit of feedback as far as what's there. For graded assignments, those will be more for when we come back to class. That'll be more, they'll come in and have a worksheet that's or a set of problems that's due at the end of the period. They'll be able to use notes and everything on it. So it's kind of like an open note, open book quiz type problem or type day that they'll have. But those will only be when we're back in school. Then, as I said, we will have a midterm and final still. They'll be between 50 and 100 points each, but they'll be into a third 9 week or into one of the 9 weeks period. The final exam will be the 4th 9 weeks, and then the midterm will either be in the 2nd or the 3rd, depending on how things go and where we're at. So that's how we'll incorporate those this year. For curriculum in geometry, one thing to bring up is it is harder. Some of the harder sections are at the beginning of the year. Chapter 2 and 4 specifically are more difficult chapters for them. It introduces proofs and kind of gets them going with that. And sometimes they will struggle with those couple of ideas. So don't get discouraged when those chapters are going on. They are harder chapters, and then we'll get back into stuff that kind of seems a little easier for them typically. So don't get discouraged at the beginning of the year. The material gets a little more straightforward as we go on. As far as cell phones and iPads go, um, if they're using it for school functions or school related use, they can use it. But once it gets to non-school related use, typically I'll give them a little warning, tell them to put it away, and then I will maybe go up. If it's still using it, maybe I'll take it and put it up on the desk. They can get it at the end of the period. And if it continues to be an issue, that's when we'll get into having the principals involved, making some phone calls home to you, and seeing if we can do it that way, or take care of it that way, I guess I should say. So that's kind of the layout in class if we're in the building. For your virtual idea, when we're at home, just a couple things to keep in mind. I do want them to use professional language and etiquette whenever they're communicating with me or with each other or other teachers. I'm going to be patient with them. I want them to have some patience also. Technology doesn't always work. All right, there's going to be glitches along the way. Don't panic if it occurs. We'll figure something out and we'll work through any of those issues together. I'd like them to allow about 5 minutes at the beginning of the Zoom meeting, to start. That way, if we have anything going on, it kind of gives a little bit of a time frame. I will be there. I'll be monitoring it, and we'll figure some things out as we go. Although I will be monitoring all of my courses throughout the day, I can't be contacting them while I'm still teaching other classes. So emails received, when that's going on, I'll try to get back to you that day. If you email me after school, sometimes I check my email, sometimes I'm not. So, it might not get addressed immediately, but I will make sure to get back to you by that next day. A couple other things while we're virtual. Everything is posted on Google Classroom. So I'm going to show you, if you go into your child's Google Classroom page, like I'm going into mine now, they'll have a bunch of tabs set up just like this with their classes. So if you're in my period 2, for example, you'd go in, go under classwork, and everything's posted in there, right? There's classroom information, and then you'll get into these, like Unit 1, and it'll be dated for all their assignments. We'll have a date to it and what section we're in, right? But at the very top, you'll see are going to be our Zoom meetings. So when you click on that Zoom meeting, right, I have the meeting ID and the passcode in there. I also have a link that they can launch the Zoom meeting right there, and they can just click on it, and then that's how we're going to go into these lessons. When they go into the lesson, right, when we go into that Zoom meeting, I'm going to stream the video and go through the presentation. It'll be me teaching the material. We'll go through that presentation, and then they'll have time to be able to ask questions and go through and do that type of stuff too. So that 40-minute time frame that they have, there'll be some instruction there, and there's also going to be time for them to ask questions, work on their homework, just like we would in a typical class. All right, how do I get back here? Sorry about that. There we go. As far as join the Zoom meeting lessons during their scheduled period, that way they can watch it and get posted and be with their classmates also. I will post the material if they miss class. So that video of the lesson will be posted on Google Classroom so that they can see it. As far as homework goes, most lessons will have an assignment with it. Those assignments are due the next day during their time period. So for example, if they have me during second period, if they get an assignment Monday, second period, it'll be due at the start of the next second period class that we have. Or if it's on Friday, then it's due on Monday during that next meet that we have. Right? That's how I have my homework set up there. If you have questions, concerns, this is all new to all of us, please reach out, email me. We'll get back to you and we'll kind of work through this together. All right. Thank you very much.